Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Tuesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. We're going to take a look first at a couple of the more, I was going to say notorious, the couple of the college games that have the most notoriety tonight. Scott, we're now into basketball, buddy. Football is weekends only at this point, my friend. So
And next Monday.
well, yeah, I mean, and next Monday, I consider Monday part of the football weekend.
That's fair.
Looking forward to the national championship game.
Well, we're going to break all those games down later in the week, so stay tuned for those.
I was going to talk a little bit about it. We don't want to do that. We want to just save it all, man. Keep all the arrows in the quiver for the national championship.
If you wanted a brief preview on one of the games, I did a play the day video on one of the Saturday games yesterday. So if you want something to give you a little bit of a taste for the football weekend and the playoffs, you got something there on the channel.
A little sousson of NFL, if you will.
So, an hors d'oeuvre, so to speak.
All right, here we go, buddy. Taking a look, a couple decent games tonight. Got the one of the bigger surprises of this college basketball season so far, Scott. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights taking on the Michigan State Spartans there in East Lansing.
So I'm going to give you a bit of a pushback, though. Is Rutgers that big of a surprise when they were supposed to make the tournament last year and then the tournament got canceled?
Well, I don't know that sneaking in the back door to the tournament and having the kind of season they're having so far. I'm not sure that's those are two different things. I mean,
that's fair. I'm just saying that team was supposed to be a tournament team, and they brought back basically everybody. So
that's the thing about Rutgers is they basically brought back everybody every year. This is a group of heavily laden upperclassmen that have played together the whole time, and it's kind of the I always root for teams like that. The as opposed to your Kansas and your Kentuckys and your one and done schools.
Well, it's a throwback to like the 1980s when you actually had people committing for 4 years to a school and developing over time.
When a commitment meant something, Scat. Get off my lawn, you kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Michigan State team that has absolutely owned the Scarlet Knights since they've joined the Big Ten. They are 0-10 lifetime, 0-9 in the Big Ten. Scott, is this the night they break through?
The truth is that based on the line movement, I'd assume no, but I really, really dislike this Michigan State team. And I know earlier in the year, we both picked them against Duke in the opener, mostly because of experience and everything. And I said the main issue this team has is that they don't really have a go-to scorer. And that seems to be the main issue that you have. You have a couple of guys there who can contribute to some degree with Hauser and Watts and those guys. But overall, I just don't think this team's very talented. And I think that's really just the main issue there. And if you look at Michigan State, let me give you a trivia question. Do you know when the last time Michigan State covered a point spread?
Duke?
That is correct. December 1st.
That'd be my guess. I know that they've been –
It's been December 1st. They haven't covered a point spread in over a month. And it's not even a matter of COVID canceling games. They have not covered a point spread in each of their last 7 games.
They've been dreadful. They've been dreadful in Big Ten play, man. They started with 3 straight losses in 3 games. They were favorites, and they lost by a total of 58 points. God, that's not good. And they're not exactly losing to the heavy hitters there. They lost to Wisconsin, good team, but they also lost to Northwestern. They lost to Minnesota just by massive. I think they lost 1 by 9 and the other 2 by double digits. So.
They did. I know they ended up beating Nebraska in their last game by 7. They were laying 9.5 because Nebraska's awful. But they ended up not covering there. Just looking at this actual Rutgers team, though, to switch gears a little bit, I really like this team. I know I gave out a play today on Rutgers a couple of games ago, and they ended up covering against Purdue, even though their best player, Ron Harper Jr., was out. But this Rutgers team just has so much depth at the guard position. This team is really just great from a backcourt perspective, and I think that they're going to give Michigan State a ton of problems.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between this year and last year. Last year, of course, they had Ron Harper Jr., but that was really all they had. I mean, the other guys just played a supporting role, and I think they've taken more of a front and center stand this year. Ron Harper's still having a great season, 22 points per game, 7 rebounds. 48% from downtown. So he's doing everything you'd expect, but his supporting cast has matured a year, and I think they've gotten even better. Michigan State put Hoggard in last week, starting at the point, bringing Rocket Watts off the bench. Does that matter to you? Let's Watts play a little more off the ball.
Have you seen Watts play?
Yeah, I know.
I think he's fine. It just seems like whenever he comes into the game, he just forces the issue and tries to do everything himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I don't know if they were just coming up against a bad Nebraska team or whether that switch actually worked. I assume from your response, your opinion is doesn't really matter who's playing the point.
I think he had to try. I don't blame Izzo for trying to switch things up because Watts in the starting lineup clearly wasn't working. But I'm not going to overreact to a victory, but not a cover against Nebraska, who is awful. But looking at Rutgers, I mean, the main reasons why this team has been so good this year is because of the emergence of Mathis and of Young. We already knew Baker, who has actually had a pretty down year, but he has been picking it up lately. We already knew that Harper Jr. was great. We also knew Johnson was a pretty good big man. But Mathis and Young have definitely picked their game up to another level, and that's definitely helped the Rutgers progress. But this team, just from a guard perspective, is so deep and so talented that I think that this team is very underrated. I think they're a dark horse candidate to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, Scott. I've got a premium play on this, so I'm gonna pass on the side. Let me ask you a question though. There's been a pretty big line shift in this one. This game opened with Rutgers as a point and a half favorites. Now Michigan State by 2. Do you agree with the line move?
I think it's solely based on the history between these two teams. So I think if you want to buy into Michigan State always owns Rutgers, they'll do it again, then you should take Michigan State. I'm going to be a little bit different, though. I see some 2.5s. I'm not going to bet on it right now. If I like Rutgers, I'm going to wait till right before the game because Michigan State is also a very, very popular team in the public market. So I'd wait it out and see what number I can get. But based on just looking at the rosters on paper, I'll lean to Rutgers to exercise some demons. It's 2021, new year. Let's give Rutgers some benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Got any thoughts on the total?
Well, I know it's dropped from 152 to 149.5. I'll back the total move there. I'll lean to the under.
You know, I'll fade you on that. I'll fade you on the total for all of their turnaround this season. Rutgers still hasn't played fantastic defense. They've given up 80 plus to everybody in conference play, with the exception of Maryland, and Michigan State not playing great defense. I think this is going to be more of a shootout than maybe people anticipate. I'll fade the line move, Scott. I'll take the over here.
Okay, fair enough.
All righty, moving on to the other, I guess we could call it big game of the evening. A little battle there. In a snapback spot for Kansas. Yeah, they go up against TCU. Jayhawks 5.5-point road favorites. Of course, the Jayhawks were absolutely run out of Allen Fieldhouse over the weekend against Texas. Scott, was that a one-time thing, or does that indicate some problems that are going to be consistent for the Jayhawks this season?
Well, I do think that one of the issues that Kansas has is, for this game in particular, is that one of their best players might not be playing because their, of course, great defensive guard Marcus Garrett is questionable with a face injury, so he might not play. According to recent reports this morning, he is supposedly 50-50. So keep that in mind. If you see some line movement, maybe he will be playing. I think we looked at Kansas earlier this year. I thought this team was talented, but once again, the main issue I have is kind of the same thing I had an issue with Michigan State about. I don't think this team has many just go-to scorers that you can just rely on. Kansas only has 3 players averaging double digits. You have Jalen Wilson, who's scoring 15.1 points per game. You have Agbaji, who's averaging 14.4, and you have Braun, who's averaging 11.1. The issue you have with all 3 of those, none of them are shooting above 49% from the floor. So if your top 3 scorers, the only 3 averaging double digits, are making less than half their shots, you don't exactly have the most efficient offense on the planet, and I think that's a problem.
Fair enough. So that takes care of the Jayhawks. Now they still do a lot of things right, Scott. They're still a very good defensive squad.
Usually they're good defensively. Texas has shot the lights out, but yes.
Yeah, but generally speaking, this is going to be a team that's going to beat you with defense.
Correct. That's why Marcus Garrett's status is huge, because he's the best defender on the team. He's averaging 9.1 points per game, and he's shooting 39.5% from the floor, which is awful. But he's also averaging a team-high 1.7 steals, and he's Kansas's best on-ball defender by a wide margin.
Yeah.
So that's why his status is really important, because he does a lot of stuff that might not necessarily be on the box score, but definitely plays a huge impact for Kansas.
How many points do you assign to Garrett as far as the spread goes?
I'd say probably around 3 or 4. I just think he makes that much of an impact defensively for this team.
Okay.
I think you'd agree with that.
3 or 4, man, that seems
It might
high.
be a little bit high, but defensively, he is so much better than everyone else when it comes to on-ball defense. He is so good.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You think at 5.5 that's baked in? You think his absence is baked in, or do you think if he gets announced out later in the day?
Well, I think it's actually the opposite, because the line opened up at 4 and now it's up to 6. So I actually think he's going to play.
Okay.
Based on what I've seen so far from the line moves, I mean, the fact that it's going up a full 2 points and you're the best defensive player on Kansas is quote unquote questionable in a road game. Usually, if you see early line movement on a game where you have a star who's questionable for a game, it's a weird coincidence. Usually, it always seems like the person's playing, right?
Well, yeah, but I also think that people are looking at that number as it's Kansas in a bounce back spot, and you're getting a bargain price against a. I don't know
I don't think TCU is that bad. Now, of course, they haven't really played many solid teams, so part of that's based on the record. But TCU so far this season, I mean, they're 9-2. I can't just go out here and say that this team's bad. They have some good wins in neutral against Texas A&M, one at Oklahoma State. Kansas State's terrible, so that doesn't really matter. But
right.
Yeah, you look overall at the team, though. I mean, I don't think TCU is that bad. It's a matter of the question is, do you think Kansas in a bounce back spot is just going to mop the floor with TCU? I know they always destroy TCU in recent years. They've killed TCU. But I don't know if the spread's too high, because I think this Kansas team is good but flawed, which seems to be the case for pretty much every team not named Baylor and Gonzaga.
Yeah, that's true. And this is not KU's time to shine. This is usually the point where they go through some doldrums here about a third of the way through conference play. The questions start every year. What's wrong with KU? Why does KU suck? They lose to this team. They lose to that team. And then about 5-6 weeks from now, they step on the gas just about a week before the Big 12 tournament starts, and you see the real KU. So
I have a quick question about TCU, by the way. I know that in college, a very important thing to keep in mind is look ahead spots.
Right.
TCU plays at home against Kansas, and then the game after, they play at home against Baylor. Can you overlook Kansas, or am I just talking crazy?
No, you can't overlook. I think they've been looking for that 1-2 punch. Now, you could, I think of that K-State game where they struggled there and just beat K-State by 7.
Still covered, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, here's my problem with TCU, Scott. If you're only favored by 3.5 over a dreadful K-State team, it seems to me like you should be more of a dog against KU.
It's honestly fair, but for the sake of this matchup, I'm going to assume Garrett's going to play, and I do agree with the Kansas bounce back angle there. I'm actually going to lean to the under. Is my main lean there. It's at 139. I know that you could potentially see some points here, but after Kansas gave up 84 to Texas, I expect a much better defensive showing for Kansas. And I do think that TCU, even though this team is only averaging 71.7 points per game, so I do think Kansas defense will have success, they're also only allowing 65.9.
Right.
Both teams have been successful defensively, and I really think that this game will turn into quite a grind out. So for me, I'm going to lean to the over. I could see this game turning into just a defensive slugfest.
You mean the under?
Yeah, the under. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, this is a K-State defense that's only given up 70.
I mean, a Kansas defense.
What is it? K-State? Yeah, KU defense that's only given up 70 points just twice since the 1st of December. One of them was to Creighton, of course, and then the Texas game. I think that is an aberration. I don't hate your under there. I think TCU, under the best of circumstances against good competition, isn't a team that's going to put up 70.
I think they can hang around, which is really all you need for +6 at home. It's close. I really don't want to play it either way.
No, I'm not gonna play this, but
I think if you wanted to throw in Kansas money line in a parlay or something at -260, maybe. I mean, I know I don't like to give out huge minus parlays here, but I don't think Kansas is going to lose this game. I'm just not sure if this team can actually win in a tough environment like this by a huge margin. So
I think KU bounces back here. I'll take.
I think they'll win. That's why I like the money line, but I wouldn't take a -6.
I'll lay the points. I don't care.
Okay.
All right, very good. All right, man. Anything else got your attention here on this card?
Well, you have a lot of rematches from yesterday, so it depends on how you want to factor in rematches. I know that if you want to look towards overs, you have the Delaware State Coppin State game, where it's already up to 160.5, but that game ended up going over yesterday. Looking at the card, really just a lot of games that I feel like aren't exactly that attractive to look at.
Right.
There's a lot of teams you don't really care about. I have a play today on one of the games here. It's actually going to be on the early game. A decent amount of line movement on the total, so we got a good number there. But for the most part, no. If you want to see painful basketball, check out the Texas Tech-Kansas State game, where Kansas State might score 40 points.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's too painful. But looking at some matchups here, really don't see much. Yeah, I don't really find much value with the rest of the card, but I think Miami is going to give North Carolina all they could handle. I think North Carolina, I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't think they're a tournament team when I watched them play in the opener. I said on Twitter, actually, I said after the opener, this team's terrible. And they're 6-4, probably not going to make the tournament. I think this team's very good. They're laying 3.5 on the road against Miami. I know that they're bigger than Miami, but it would not surprise me if Miami wins the game outright.
Okay. I had a premium yesterday on Winthrop at Georgia Southern. They're playing a rematch again today. I've got the line a little closer to where it should be. It's -15.5. You might consider Georgia Southern there in a bounce back spot. They Winthrop beat them by 16 yesterday, and the data and the jury's still out on these back to backs, Scott, about covering big numbers. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it would seem to me that, anecdotally at least, that their teams have not been able to cover big numbers 2 days in a row.
Unless you're Drake.
Unless you're the Drake. Love the Drake. Yeah, they did well yesterday. That was our play of the day. So. Bulldogs did a good job there. So, all right. So you got an interesting card. You got some early games starting there at 2:00 Eastern time. Got the Winthrop game at 3:00. So, yeah, if you got
how about BU, by the way? They beat I know Holy Cross is awful. They have a rematch against Holy Cross today, but they ended up beating Holy Cross yesterday, and they were the first teams in D1 to wear masks for the entire game.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if you saw a photo of that.
I did not.
They had face masks on the entire game, so people were wondering, how are they supposed to cover if they can't breathe? And the answer is they didn't cover, but they won.
Okay, good enough.
Fair enough. But apparently they're going to be wearing masks the entire season.
Is that going to be a handicap thing where you have to start handicapping who's wearing masks and who isn't?
I just find it fascinating that a team midway through the season decided, wait a second, why are we not just wearing masks while we play?
Right.
And it's like, all right, cool. I don't know. Just found it interesting.
Okay, good enough. All right, there you go. So it's a couple little bonus plays for you here.
I don't know if you count mine as a play, as it was just looking at the card, but I'm assuming you agree that based on conference play and how North Carolina's played lately, it would not surprise you if Miami ended up winning that game.
No, but I don't.
I think North Carolina is just bad. I've said it earlier this year. This team's not very good.
Well, you can put a Kentucky Vanderbilt in that same boat.
I can't believe Kentucky's lying 11.5.
Well, it's now 12. So
I thought I'm potentially leaning that way just because of the spread, but I can't touch this Kentucky team.
No,
I can't. This team's bad.
I'm not sure Kentucky's better than 12 points better than anybody in the SEC, including Vanderbilt.
It's honestly fair.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, there you go, guys. Fun day of basketball. Enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Was in the comment section. Tell us what you're playing today. Of course, if you're looking for deep dives into these games or any other basketball games today, there is just one spot for you to go, and that is winnersandwhiners.com, the #1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis. Winnersandwhiners.com, always there, always free. Check that out if you will, please. And, of course, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com, for myself, for Scott Reichel, appreciate you guys stopping by. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. Don't forget to stick around, check us out on our NBA show. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you on the next one here on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.